Absent without leave, friendly neighborhood old soldier coming at you today from Hobson County, North Carolina. I'm headed out to a doctor's appointment. Seems like I have more of those here lately than I don't. But I guess it's what happens when you age. Anyways, for you, Brother Kyle, hope everybody's doing all right today. What to talk about? There's a bunch to talk about. A lot of the various gun control legislation trying to be passed and pushed. There's also gun legislation that's trying to be passed and pushed to protect the Second Amendment. Of course, here recently, Georgia being the most recent state to pass constitutional carry legislation, things of that nature. But what I want to talk about, because it seems to, every time gun control starts to be getting passed, or trying to get passed, let's put it that way, and these illegal and useless executive orders trying to control firearms, are all these so-called mass shootings. I watch a few channels to get accurate information. Guns and Gadgets for one, Legally Armed America for another. Just to name a few that I watch when these things come out, because they've got better research skills than I do. Put it that way. Anyway, long story short, is this. I want to talk about specifically the shooting recently here in South Carolina, Columbia to be exact. One report is the shooter had legally purchased a firearm, claiming self-defense, and if it was self-defense, hey, more power to him. But it's also come out that it was gang-affiliated gang shooting, which honestly in Columbia, South Carolina, I'm not surprised. Just like the shooting in I've lost my train of thought. Oh, where was it, folks? Help me out here. But it turned out, Sacramento, California. I hadn't had enough coffee this morning. It turned out to be a gang shooting. And it's funny, every time that they announce that it's a gang shooting, the media shuts the hell up. They don't want to talk about gang violence being a cause of mass shootings, as they like to use the term colloquially, mass shooting. And today in America, another mass shooting took place. Go to Chicago on any given day. Go to Chicago on any given day is what I tell people. People getting shot there all the time. Hell, right here where I live, just south of Fayetteville, North Carolina, there are shootings that take place almost every other day. You don't hear about those in the news, do you? Why? 9 out of 10 times they are gang or criminal activities. They're not somebody that had a wild hair up their butt because they got depressed or they didn't like what President Doofball said. Whatever the case may be, where they just decided they were going to take out all the humanity until they're taken out. Now, many of the shootings here are driven by criminal activity. Time and again. It's either over dope, somebody owing somebody money, and also around this area, a lot of time has to deal with other issues. I mean, it's just pathetic. So I guess what I'm getting at on this, and I've talked about it before, what we need to start doing with these gangbangers, as I call them, and most people do, especially if they're affiliated, nationally known gangs. In other words, gangs that cross state borders, and hell, even international borders, because there is a large presence of international gang activity here in the United States. People don't like to admit it. People don't want to talk about it. But it is here, and it does happen. Instead of treating them as a criminal, you need to start treating them as terrorists. Where we can pack their asses up, send them off to Guantanamo, and let them sit there and rot in their own stew, and just until they spill the guts. Okay, who did this? All right, where are they at? Where can we find them? How do we find them? Okay, yeah. And the moment they cry, well, I got rights. No, you don't. You're affiliated with a known gang. That gang's been declared a terrorist organization. Because of that, you surrender all your rights. Now, some of y'all are going to disagree with me on this. And that's fine. My opinion is just one of many out there. But if we treat them like terrorists, charge them as terrorists, some of these dumbasses might stop and think, if I get caught, they're going to ship me off to Guantanamo, Cuba. I might never see my mom, dad, family, whatever, ever again. Or because I'm being treated as a terrorist, straight to a military tribunal, they send my butt to Fort Leavenworth, making little rocks out of big rocks, without even so much as a wherewithal as to, you have the right to remain silent. And again, one of the reasons is gang violence. Gang on gang violence. And you're saying, well, what about these young kids? You know what? I get it. But at the end of the day, we've got to start somewhere, folks. Declare them terrorist organization. Therefore, if they're caught committing any criminal act as a gang member, automatic terrorist charges. Boom. You just surrendered all your constitutional rights because you affiliate with a terrorist organization. Some might argue, well, what's the definition of how does that meet the definition of a terrorist? Well, let's think about it for a minute. You've got whole neighborhoods and communities in Atlanta, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, just to name a few. They're afraid to do anything in their neighborhoods because of the gang violence. Okay? They're afraid of it because of the gang violence. And treating them as criminals has not worked. Case in example, the young man down in South Carolina, he's out on bail. Now, once it's determined he's actually a member of a gang, no bail. You're going to sit here until, the FBI or Department of Homeland Security come pick your butt up. The other thing, who pushes most of the dope in this country? Gangs. I don't live too far from Interstate I-95 or Interstate 95. It is a major thoroughfare from Miami all the way up to Boston. Not only in drugs, but sex trafficking. That's the other thing these gangs have gotten into, is sex trafficking. Okay? Now, international gangs. I'm going to change gears here for a minute. The biggest one we all know about, that we always hear about, is MS-13. Yep. But then there's the Russian mafia. That's running around, running rampant. Okay? And they form under various guises. Again, terrorizing whole neighborhoods. Pushing drugs. Trafficking, sex trafficking. Okay? This is why I believe anything that's gang related, gang affiliated, needs to be charged and treated as not domestic terrorists. That's the other thing. You got domestic terrorism and then you got terrorism. I just say do away with the domestic and treat them all as terrorists when they act in such manner. For those of you that might not agree with me, I get it. Again, like I said, you have a right to your opinion, I have a right to mine. There will be some of you that swear up and down that because, the Constitution and you're born in the United States, every American citizen has their constitutional rights. But I do believe that when you engage in terroristic activities, especially on your own countrymen, you surrender those rights. It's just what I believe. Now, some are going to argue, well, what about religious zealots that do harm? Hey, charge them as terrorists. Charge them as terrorists. I think it was Westboro Baptist Church. They're out of Missouri or Kansas. I can't remember which one. The group that went around protesting military funerals because, they had nothing better to do because, the gospel, their interpretation of the gospel. Let me phrase it that way. Their interpretation of the gospel. Their interpretation of the gospel is so misconstrued it's not even funny. I get where they come on their stance on homosexuality. I myself, as a Christian, don't believe it's right. But also as a Christian, it's not for me to bring judgment on someone that it is. It's not on me to harass, harangue, or do violence upon someone that is. Because on the day of judgment, we all got to stand before God and answer an account for our sins. And I'll leave it at that. If anything, as a Christian, I should show my kindness and love to those that are living in sin according to the gospel, that they might repent of their sin and come to a knowing knowledge of salvation of Jesus Christ. And again, there's going to be some people that disagree with me on that. And you know what? They have every right to. Under the Constitution of the United States. There's nothing in our Constitution that says every American citizen has to be a Christian. But what the Constitution does protect is the freedom of religion. Or the freedom not to worship anybody. So Westboro Baptist Church, treat them as terrorists. Those that engage in these activities. And again, at the end of the day, who's to say who's right and who's wrong, but if we keep letting these gangs and other extremist organizations within the confines of our own borders be charged as criminals instead of the terrorists that they are, I think the more they're going to get away with. But again, it's just my humble opinion, folks. You don't have to agree with me, and that's fine. If you've got a better idea of how to handle it, put it down in the links below, or down in the description below. And the other thing too, there's been the whole thing right now with Disney and the horse mess that they're pushing. Okay, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with a lot of things that are being pushed on our children today. Again, you ain't got to agree with me. But I firmly believe that teaching kindergartners and first, second, third, even fourth graders, the stuff that Disney supports and that they're trying to get Florida to repeal the current bill that they have passed. I think Florida Governor DeSantis was spot on in passing that bill. And again, at the end of the day, you can't change the DNA you're born with, folks. You can pretend to be a woman all day long if you're a man. You're still, in reality, only pretending. You know, you can have your plumbing surgically altered. It's still not going to change the DNA you were born with. And then let's talk about all this other, I'm going to close with this, all this other stupid mess these people out here, you know, I'm a non-binary pansexual hot dog. What the, no, you got mental issues, go get some help. Period.com. And this other mess about pronouns, if you're a man, it's he, him. And if you're a woman, it's she, her. None of this, I want to be referred to as they, them, their. You can kiss my fourth point of contact if you think I'm going to honor that. Grow the hell up, get some mental help, and stop acting the fool. That's what we've got to protect our children from. And that, boys and girls, is my 2 cents worth, and that's my bottom line. I hope everybody has a great and wonderful day. Forgive me for some of the harsh language, but I need to get it off my chest. Y'all tell me what you think in the description below. And until I make another video, God bless, take care, stay safe. Old soldier out.